Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Twins Talk Arsenal. We're here today with me, Anastasis and Andreas, and then we're also here with our special guest, Matt. And today we're going to cover the Arsenal v Man City game, the 1-0 loss at the Emirates Stadium. Andreas, how did you find the game?
I think it was a hard game to take because we defended pretty well. We limited Man City to only a few really clear-cut chances, but just conceding in the first minute just killed the game off. Completely killed Arteta's strategy to kind of, nullify their attack and try and hit them on the counter. And I think it took the wind out of our players' sails right from the beginning. It feels like a missed opportunity to me because we didn't play that badly, and really we should be coming away from this game with a draw. But against a team as good as Man City, you can't let any lapse of concentration happen. And we did it within the first minute. It feels like a real disappointing result from Arsenal, I think. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think, you know what, credits for City. We knew exactly what team they were going to be before the actual game. We knew they would control it. I didn't think it would be controlled in that way. They just completely dominated us. My one sort of disappointment, as you say, is the fact that we conceded through a goal from Sterling with a header. And that just shouldn't happen with Holding. And the fact that it came within the second minute. So I know they dominated. And yes, I can't say they didn't deserve to win because they did. But the manner in which they won with that single goal just doesn't quite sit right with me. If he dribbled throughout the box and absolutely nutmegged him, skilled him, whatever, then you can just say hats off. You know what, Holding's just not quite a match for Sterling. But in the air, that ball should be dealt with.
Yeah, I agree. Like the smallest guy on the pitch scored a header against Rob Holding. Like I love the guy, but you can't be letting Raheem Sterling beat you in the box for a header. He's not even known for his header goals, and yet he's getting that against Arsenal in the first minute. It's a disappointing goal to concede.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Raheem Sterling, this is his 8th headed goal in the Premier League. So, he scored a fair few goals for Man City. Don't get me wrong, he's a clinical forward, he's a goal poacher, etc. But he doesn't score many headed goals. So for him to score that goal against Rob Holding, Rob Holding should have been tighter to him, should have marked him better. It's the first few minutes of the game. You're thinking, I don't know, if you're tired after 85 minutes, maybe you understand it, but it's the first few minutes of the game. He should be touch tight to him, grabbing his shirt a little bit, stopping him from jumping so effectively. He should be touch tight to him. He shouldn't allow him to have a free header, which he basically does. It's a well-taken goal from Sterling at the end of the day. It's a good header, but he shouldn't be given that much time and space. It was a disappointing goal. Overall, it was a disappointing performance from Arsenal. Like Matt touched on, Man City did control the game. Arsenal didn't really have too many clear-cut opportunities. It was only one, and if Arsenal had managed to create some better chances, the game was there, for Arsenal to get a point, if not more. Man City were very sloppy in the second half. The last 20 minutes, last half an hour, Man City were very sloppy for their standards, and ultimately Arsenal didn't have enough to take advantage of that.
Yeah, how did you guys really feel this was a missed opportunity? Because to me, I've seen Man City absolutely blow teams away this season, play like amazing football, and they did for the first 20 minutes of this game. And then they kind of backed off and they started to be a bit sloppy and not really play at their highest level. And I felt like this game was a game where we could have snatched a draw from Man City. Everyone was expecting us to get completely battered. And I think if we had brought our A game, I think we could have got a draw here. But we didn't bring anything else really to the table. Abba didn't really influence anything going forward. I know Man City are a great team, but it felt like we were having a lot of unforced errors, which was giving them possession back rather than them having to be great and dominating us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think especially someone like Pepe, he didn't really feature against Benfica, not properly. He didn't feature in midweek. he's had a full week's rest. I think players like Pepe you would have maybe expected a little bit more from. He didn't really deliver today. You want him to kind of take on his opposition, take on Cancelo. He's when Man City attack, Cancelo does get into a more advanced role, whether that be is kind of pushed into more of a midfield role when City have the ball. I don't know, you would have thought that there would be a little bit more for Pepe to exploit, or Zinchenko on the other side, relatively inexperienced defender in comparison to some of the other defenders at Man City's disposal. I don't know, you would have expected a bit more from Pepe. He's basically had a full week's rest. I know he travelled to Rome and all that, but he's basically had a full week's rest. These types of players, I don't know, we kind of need to see a bit more from them. I do agree to an extent. I think it was a missed opportunity. Man City have not been the Man City of old where they've been sweeping teams aside. They have managed to maintain control over games, like they did in the game today. They've got 18 wins in all competitions now. So, don't get me wrong, they are a team that know how to win and how to control games, even when they're not at their best. But I do think maybe it was a missed opportunity for Arsenal overall.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a bit sort of 50-50 with that. It's a case of, they did sort of blow us away in the first sort of 25 minutes. And yes, they were completely on top. But at the same time, we didn't let in 2 or 3 goals. They were creating chances. Sterling was still running in and out the box. From what I can remember, I think Gundogan had a couple of chances as well. So they did have even I think commentator mentioned that they could have had a hat-trick. Sterling could have had a hat-trick within the first 5 minutes, but it didn't. So that is a silver lining that we sort of have to take from that. So we did only keep it at 1-0. But then again, in the second half, they were a bit sloppy, but Man City's sloppy was still better than us. So yes, if we played 100%, like we have done, if we played like we played against Wolves, for example, we played with that high press consistently, then we might have been able to pick them off in the second half. But that would have only just been a bonus from their sloppy play, I think. But overall, they still passed the ball around with authority. Even when we thought we pegged them back to the goalie, obviously Ederson decides to then assist Jesus and take it to our penalty box. So no matter how much we press them, they still get a ball forward. I think it depends. I think it does sort of. There was a big contrast between our pressing and their pressing. If you saw their pressing, it was as if we were being swarmed. Like we could not handle it. We were panicking. We were put under pressure. Leno was either passing sideways, they were kicking the ball out. Whereas when we were pressing, it was sort of like we were just chasing the ball, trying to do something. There was no, even if there was a purpose, it just didn't seem as powerful as theirs, and you could tell that easily. And you got to appreciate that. So maybe that was the plan, if that was Arteta's plan. So maybe to press at times and not press in that way. But I still think if we were to press as a whole unit, we should still be able to do it in the way that City did at times.
Yeah, the only other thing I would also touch on is maybe unfortunate from Arsenal to do with the scheduling of the games and whatnot. But obviously, Arsenal played in the midweek. Arsenal played on Thursday against Benfica in the first leg. Whereas for Man City, their first leg of the Champions League isn't until this week coming. So, they basically had a full week to prepare for Arsenal. So they had a greater rest. They could prepare on more of a tactical basis as well for the Arsenal game. Whereas for Arsenal, the game was on the Thursday night. So the players would have probably come back Friday morning. And then, you've only got 2 days, 2 training sessions before the Man City game. So, on Man City's end, there would have been much more of a tactical analysis on how they can kind of break Arsenal down, beat Arsenal, etc. They're going to have a fitness edge over Arsenal as well, because we played in midweek. I do think there are maybe a few issues that could have led in Man City's favour, purely because of scheduling, nothing that anyone can do about it. But, stuff like that, every little helps at this level kind of thing. And maybe it could have contributed to Arsenal not being at their best and maybe having a little bit of a slow start to the game.
Yeah, I So
Well, no, go on, Andreas. I find that the whole scheduling, I would love to be able to just say, yeah, we've only had 2 or 3 days. That's the reason why we've lost. But what do you think, Andreas?
Oh, I was just going to say I agree with you that I think their level of their average performance is higher than Arsenal's, and even when they weren't at it, every pass that they were making was accurate, was on point, and we were just guilty of giving the ball away too much today. It wasn't a bad performance, and I think that's why we feel so disappointed with it, because we feel like we could have got a draw. If we had been absolutely wiped off the pitch and lost 2-3-0, I think Arsenal fans would be like, yeah, look, they're miles above us. And they are miles above us, but today it felt like we could have got something. I think that's why we feel a bit disappointed. It wasn't the worst performance in the world, but we did give the ball away a few times, which stopped us really progressing, I think, defensively.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all stems from that goal, as I said earlier. I don't think we warranted the win by any means. We were nowhere near that level. But theoretically, yes, you might say without that goal going in, they might have pressed even more throughout the game, and then they will have made us make mistakes, and therefore they would have got 1 or 2 goals later on in the game. However, they still only scored that 1 goal, and I'm disappointed in how we conceded that. So theoretically, we could have got away with a 0-0 draw, which is a point against champions, or soon-to-be champions, potentially. So that's my reason for sort of disappointment. I think with the scheduling, it's a difficult one because we can always put sort of share blame on certain factors. But at the end of the day, if we were playing Champions League, which is what we want to be doing, hopefully next year or the year after, then we're going to be playing with 3 days warning to, for example, a Leicester side or a Villa side or a Everton side who won't be potentially. So, and we can't then say, oh, we were tired. You've got to deal with it, and that's part of the process, I think. So,
yeah,
you are right. They did have the extra week, as in they had the extra few days to build fitness. I don't want to say that's the major excuse that we can pinpoint on why we should have done better.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's definitely not, the main factor. I think Arsenal weren't good enough overall. I think it was just maybe more of a reason for why maybe fatigue could have played a part and why it could have contributed to a slow start to the first half. But yeah, no, fully agree. Overall, Arsenal weren't really at it. They weren't good enough overall. Man City were on another level to Arsenal. They did control the game. I think, the early goal definitely didn't help. It's the unfortunate position that Arsenal tend to put themselves in when we've played Man City in recent games is we've tended to concede early goals. And, in the first half, in the past, we've maybe even been out of the game by 2 or 3 goals. The position it puts us in is where we're forced to change things, to try and adapt, to try and create these situations to get an equalising goal. Whereas for Man City, when they're 1-0 up, they can just keep doing what they're doing. They can sit back, they can defend, they can control possession without the aim of penetration. The last 20 minutes, Man City just controlled possession. There was no massive aim for penetration into the Arsenal box and to score goals. It was just controlling possession to wind down the clock. And, you can do that when you're 1-0 up, like fair play to Man City. But I don't know, I think it's the issue with Arsenal that we concede early goals and put ourselves in this situation. I mean, like you said, if we'd kept it 0-0 at by the time we got to half time, 60 minutes, etc., Pep would make changes to try and get a goal. And then maybe that could work in Arsenal's favour. Maybe it could lead to a good counter-attacking situation, 3-on-3 or whatever. But these situations don't arise when you concede early goals because the opposition are in control of the game, especially when you're playing a team like Man City. With the caliber and the quality of the players that they've got, it does make it very hard to get a goal back. But what I'll say on the other hand, this is a very dominant Man City team. Since they lost to Tottenham in November of last year, I think it is, they haven't been behind in a game. Like, that is ridiculous. So, it's I think it's 27 games. They've got 24 clean sheets. It's something ridiculous like that. And, maybe we are being too harsh on Arsenal. This is a very good Man City team that at this moment in time is, beating everyone that's in their path. They smashed Liverpool and, a 1-0 loss isn't the end of the world, given how well Man City are playing.
But I think that's exactly why we feel a bit more disappointed because we know how good City are. They're by far and away the best team in the league, and you know their defensive stats are ridiculous. And today they didn't look like that team, so it felt like we could have got a draw. But yeah, I mean, without a doubt, City are miles and miles at the moment better than us. So I don't feel bad for losing to them. But based on the team that we played today, I feel bad not getting a draw.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially the way the last, 20 minutes, half an hour went, Man City were sloppy. Maybe they'd lost a bit of concentration. Maybe their minds had gone to the midweek game in the Champions League. And it is one that, if you want to compete with the best, really Arsenal, I'm not saying should take advantage, but you should be trying to create the chances to take advantage. I think the upsetting thing with Arsenal is we didn't really create too much. So even when Man City was sloppy and not at their best, fine, they were a level above us, but I don't know, you'd think you can create one or two chances where you think, Arsenal should have scored that. But, we never had that scenario. Man City never really looked in danger of not keeping a clean sheet.
Well, to be fair, we did actually create a couple of chances. So, yeah, as you said, I don't think we should be too disappointed with the fact that we lost. This is a team that are going to win the league, hopefully. I'd rather they won it than sort of any other team around them. But yeah, they're going to dominate the league, and losing 1-0, albeit at home, but again, not with the crowd, it's not the worst result in the world. And that's probably what Mikel's telling his players right now, that, yeah, we had a few opportunities. It probably didn't pan out in the exact way that they wanted to because we let in that early goal, but there were still sort of positive signs. And we still had a couple of opportunities when I think it was Pepe down the right, and the first half, I think it was, and then his ball to Bellerin was far too late. And again, we're being critical, but if we want to go into the final details, yeah, if he played that ball 2 seconds earlier or 1 second earlier, he could have had a shot without being blocked off.
Yeah.
And then even after that shot was blocked off, he then had a chance, which he then scuffed. So again, we can keep on going into him and saying, you know what, you should be finishing all these chances, but you should be finishing all these chances. We are giving you playing time, and that's at least a shot that you should get on target. So at least test the goalie, or at least go for the far post maybe and try and trick him. But yeah, we did have a couple of opportunities. It didn't go to plan, but I'm not overly disappointed. I didn't think we were going to win this. I was hoping we'd sort of get something from it. But yeah, 1-0 is as positive as we can get with playing Man City.
Yeah, true. I agree. I think it could have been a lot worse. We were coming into this thinking we were going to get absolutely battered, and just basically looking at the Benfica games as our way of progressing. The only disappointing thing I'd say is our start to the season was so bad that when it feels like we could have beaten a team or could have got a point from a team, we really need to be getting those points, because we are playing catch up for the rest of the season. Even if we want to get into the Europa League next year, we are playing catch up, and we need to be getting the most amount of points that we can. So that's why it feels so disappointing, I think. But you're right. This is a great Man City team, and they're going to beat a lot better teams than us on their way to the league and probably or possibly the Champions League this season as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I would add to that about the Premier League season and how it's unfolding for Arsenal, there was obviously a lot of talk about the tough 8 games that Arsenal face from mid-Feb. So we had the Benfica game, which we drew. We didn't manage to get the win, which we'd hoped we would have got. We've now lost to Man City. There's still 6 very tough games left. We've got Benfica, and that's followed by games such as we've got Leicester, Liverpool, Tottenham. Very tough games in the Premier League coming up. So, ultimately we've got a month and a half, which is going to define our season. If we don't, like you said, we're already playing catch up to a lot of the Premier League teams. Even if we want Europa League, never mind Champions League. If we don't get results in these games, it's not looking promising. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are based on how we played today and in recent weeks. If you guys think it's achievable, to get these results in these types of games against Leicester, who are going to, again, be a very defensive, counter-attacking team, against Liverpool, who, have got some injuries. They're not playing as well as they were last season. But then, they're still a top team, still a good team against a Spurs team, which, has Spursy moments, but then still has Jose Mourinho at the helm. Well, for now, I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on, how the season can pan out based on these next 6 games?
The priority has to be Europa at the moment. That's the biggest game of the season. And the fact I'm, again, more disappointed with that draw on Thursday than I am with this loss by far, because we basically did a City to them, but we didn't get the City result. Even if we won 1-0, it's not great, but it would have still been a win. And there's no way we should have drawn that game. And we completely dominated it. Even without the chances, we just kept the ball, and somehow I can't even quite recall the penalty and whether I don't think I've seen it on repeat, so I don't know whether it should or should not have done a bit of penalty, but we won't get into that. But I think we have to win on Thursday. That's our main route into the Champions League. And if we get into the Champions League, then that's a whole different story for next year. The players that we can attract, the bonus and money, everything. Premier League, I think it's just a case of performances. Yes, I'd like to get points. It'd be great to get some wins, but I think as long as we're, focusing on our performance, our defence, our strategy up the field, then that's the main thing. And I think results will sort of follow with that. But yeah, Thursday's the biggest game, and we have to put all of our eggs in that basket. And if we take our chances, I think we'll get through. And if we don't, then we can't say we deserve to go through.
I agree. I think we need to make the most of Thursday, really. How we do for the rest of the season depends on what team turns up. If it's the team that beat Leeds, then we'll be fine for the rest of the season. But if it's the team that drew against Benfica earlier in the week, then we're not going to go anywhere. So it really depends on what kind of consistency Arteta can get out of this team for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think like Matt touched on about putting all our eggs into one basket. I know generically it might not be the best strategy. All it takes is one dodgy penalty or whatever, and you might get knocked out. But I do agree. I think, this season in the league, we've not quite been at it. We've definitely not had the best of seasons by any stretch of the imagination. We've lost far too many games. We've dropped far too many points. The thing is, a lot of teams have as well, though. So, you can't be too harsh on Arsenal in one sense, because a lot of teams have dropped silly points. But because of Arsenal's inconsistencies, I don't think we'll have enough to get top 4, especially with the tough games, coming up in the near future. So, I do think to an extent, it's never a good idea, ideally, to put your eggs all in one basket. But I do agree. I think it's a position we find ourselves in. And yeah, I think really we need to win the Europa League. It would make it a successful season if we did, by every stretch of the imagination. But it has to happen, or it will be a very disappointing season, I think.
I think we do have to get the results, as you said, because the results will follow from the performances, and we have to get the results just to finish in a decent position.
Yeah.
Us, for example, even Spurs losing today, everyone's losing, and we keep on saying, we're only 3 wins away from top 4 or 4 wins. But we're always 3 or 4 wins, because whenever they drop points, we drop points. Yes, it was against City, but last time someone dropped points, we dropped points against Wolves, Villa. It's always the same story. And we can't just say, okay, it was the best team in the world. I mean, it could be the world or the Premier League, but we're always dropping points when it's the vital moment. So we're not making the most of it. Therefore, I don't think, there's no chance of us getting top 4. You know what? If we did, fantastic. Let's just surprise ourselves. But I think we just need to get as many points on the table as possible, just so we don't finish in the bottom half. And then let's just see what happens, I think.
Yeah, one game at a time. We can't even think about it. We're so far off top 4 at the moment. We shouldn't even think about it, really. We need to just win our next game. Benfica, and that's it. I'd say the one positive from today was we had a few positive performances. I thought, even though it was a hard team, Saka played very well. Every time he received the ball, he was looking to turn and run at their defence. He was the one player which you felt would hurt Man City today. I thought Odegaard is growing into the team. He's going to be more and more influential the more games he plays, and he was definitely our most creative player on the pitch today. I actually thought our defenders did well. I thought Pablo Mari was a breath of fresh air to see him back in our defence. Rob Holding, apart from the initial goal, made some important interceptions as well. We have a good team out there. We just got unlucky to concede that early goal today. But I think moving forward, we should be beating teams that aren't as good as this Man City team. We really should be. We've got the players to do it, and hopefully Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe and Odegaard can continue to shine for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think it's about
definitely.
I think it's about time. Yeah, but that's I'll let you go.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was just going to say, with Arsenal, we do have a lot of promising players. Players like Saka, who in these types of games, they're not hiding. It's great to see as an Arsenal fan. You don't want Arsenal to roll over and just, let them win. You want to see some fight in the team, some determination to get a result. And players like Saka, Odegaard, he had a good game as well. These types of players, this is how we want Arsenal to be represented, kind of thing. If we're losing a game, we want to show that we can come back and make a fight out of it, rather than just it being an easy win for the opposition, kind of thing. I think it was definitely a good performance from Saka, from Odegaard, etc. And hopefully we can sign Odegaard in the summer, and if possible, and then it would be a very promising future for Arsenal. I think we've got a lot of young talents coming through, and it's if they can continue to grow and develop.
Yeah, I think there were some good performances. Like, I think Tierney did really well considering he's just come back. You could tell after the first 15 minutes that he was absolutely shattered. He worked his socks off. That's just either probably a combination of him being out and City just being City. But yeah, he I think he even then just fell over halfway through the match just to get a breather. Left him.
Yeah, I saw that, holding his face.
But yeah, so I think he played really well. Yeah, I think Mari Holding had a good game apart from the step up. I'm not too sure why they were in the team. Maybe they were just there for rotational purposes, and they were thinking, let's keep Luis and Gabriel for Thursday. That might have been the reason, or if there was a specific reason why they wanted them to in the game today. I think everyone played an okay performance. I think, again, Xhaka was sort of, passing the ball quite silkily like he normally does. El Neni did a job. Obviously, he's not quite the same presence as Partey, but you can't compare two players like that. He did fill in a role, and yeah, I think it was just our overall pressing. I think we played okay, and against any other team that would be fine. But there was just such a contrast between our pressing and their pressing. It was just so evident, and yeah, hopefully it's not too critical, but it's just that we've got such high expectations of this team that it was such a big difference between the way we did it and they did it.
Yeah, you can see that's how Arteta wants to play, and hopefully with like another year and a proper preseason and a few more players that he actually wants that aren't like Emery and Wenger's players, he can get us playing like that, because we want to be like Man City. We're just not there yet. We're not as good, and we don't have the money that Man City have either.
Yeah, you don't want to become a City because you want to be the Arsenal. I think it's just about consistency, because you know what, I am still seeing signs of the old sort of Wenger days of fluid football. So we are doing that. And we are being, apart from the mistakes, however sort of contradictory it is, bar the mistakes, we're playing better defensively. So as a unit, we're playing better rather than just being very easy to cut through. So I can see the improvement. It's just putting it all together every single game for 90 minutes. And that's what City did today to the T. And that's what we've got to build up to. So yes, I think we've just got to be patient in that sense. Like, we want the first half of Wolves and goal, and we want the first half of Leeds.
Yeah, agreed.
And we want that in both halves. I don't think we're not going to get that until, maybe later this season or next year or the year after that. And that's what we need and want.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can build up to that gradually. But the Champions League will make that difference. And top four, from a personal point of view, not a chance. So therefore we have got 5 games, I think it is, or 5 teams to beat. If we want to get to the Champions League, we've got to beat those 5 teams. I think that's a fair reward. Yeah,
I agree. 5 games to get back into the Champions League. Hopefully the Europa League will do that for us. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for listening and for watching. If you liked what you saw, please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and comment with any video requests as well. We're happy to talk about anything you guys would like to hear. I guess we will see you guys after the game against Benfica, where hopefully we are celebrating Arsenal getting through to the next round. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and up the Gunners. See you later, guys.